Hello everyone, welcome to Beautiful Ashes. I am Dipti and you can also call me Dips. And I'm so excited to have you here. Today I'll be sharing my personal testimony as I mentioned in my previous video. It's pretty long, so I've decided to divide into three parts to be more transparent and detailed so it can be more meaningful to you. In this first episode, I'll be sharing some of my painful parts of my childhood, the challenges that I faced, and how they shaped the person that I became. I will also talk about the abuses that I've experienced and how that impacts my life, how I struggle to love myself. It's not always easy to talk, but I think by sharing our stories, we can help others feel less alone. So if you ever felt broken, unworthy, I hope my story resonates you and reminds you that healing is possible. At the end, I will also talk about how everything changed after I encountered Jesus in 2017. So let's dive into where it all began. So my full name is Dipti Tamang, and I was born in a small village of Nepal. I have four members in my family. My both parents, me and my one younger sister, so I'm the oldest. So I was born and raised in a Christian family. I pretty much know about God, Jesus. Every Saturday we used to go to church. I used to attend Sunday schools. Our teacher used to teach us about Jesus, prayers. So I pretty much growing up hearing about Jesus, the miracle. There is God, there is like high power. I knew that deeply, even though I was very young. So I knew that God is there. I have seen miracles in people's lives, even miracles in my own parents' life. So I knew there is God. Growing up as a kid, I was very bold. I never feel shy to speak or do any activity in front of people, and I love to sing, dance, and I was a very curious kid as well. I always used to ask questions to my parents. So later on, because of for my studies, I have to shift to hostel. So I moved on in hostel, and at the beginning, it was very hard for me. Almost like an year, I cry a lot. So I couldn't able to focus on my studies. I wasn't a great student. I failed in many subjects at the beginning. And later on, as time, as you start growing up, you realize it's alive. So I stopped crying, and I think I was like 11 years old, and no, I was almost like 12 years old. And one day in my class, one of the teacher was teaching about teenage, about the adolescent, the menstruational cycle, the changes that happens in our bodies. And I remember I was sitting on a class, and I remember something. And suddenly I just felt deep down that something bad happened to me when I was young. And I remember when I was 7 or 8, I don't exactly remember, but I was 7 years old. There was one guy who was pretty much older than me. So I just remember that this guy, sexually harassed me many times, multiple times. Until then, I didn't remember that, okay, I've been through this. I didn't realize that. But at that moment, I felt, okay, something bad happened with me, and this guy did something wrong with me. So I didn't talk about this to anybody else because I don't know whom to talk. And it's, in our society, it's like taboo. People find very difficult to speak up what happened with you, especially when it comes in sexual abuse. As I started growing up, I was in hostel. I thought things are changed now. I'm grown up. I was young. I didn't realize so, but I was so wrong. As I start growing up, I start, experience those things more and more often from the people that I've never expected. Even when you travel on the bus, people try to, like even in a crowd, people try to touch you in a wrong way, not a healthy way. And even in my hostel, I've experienced from multiple people, and I knew that it wasn't a good touch. It was not loving touch at all. And but I couldn't able to speak at all. I feel numb when those things happen. I don't know how to react. I don't know what to do. I couldn't able to speak up. So every time this happened, I always used to run. One day father, my father visited me. He always visit me once in a week, and he said to me that I saw a dream. I saw you in my dream, and I said, "What was a dream?" And he felt a little bit reluctant to speak. I thought I will not cry. I don't want to cry. Sorry for that. So my father told me that he saw something on dream. He saw something bad. I knew what he meant. So, but I couldn't able to say anything. Deep down, I knew what he says was right. What's happening was not good. I wish I could speak up, but I was ashamed. So, growing up, I pretty much experienced the sexual assault from different people that I've never imagined. No child should ever go through this kind of thing. I didn't know that we need help. I just feel like this is world and we just need to keep quiet, and there was so much anger in my heart. And I do think in your school days everybody has name, in your school. So I also had a name given by some of my friends. Not everyone, especially girls, they don't used to call me by that names, but especially boys from the class, they used to call me by that name. At first you don't feel anything, but when someone constantly calling you by that name, maybe you start receiving, you start accepting. So same thing happened with me. So in my school they gave me a name, Rabbit. Now you might be thinking why they call me Rabbit. The reason they call me Rabbit because I have this crooked teeth which was not aligned properly, so they gave me this name. So what I used to do every single time when I laugh, or especially when I laugh loudly, I always used to cover my mouth, because I don't want to show my teeth to people. I just feel basically it's not good, it's ugly, so that's why I just want to cover it up. So I started believing this thing. So growing up, experienced this certain things from people, sexual abuse from different people, and I had a very low self-esteem. I feel like I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good in this, I'm not good in this, I'm not good in anything. So I feel like I'm not beautiful, I'm not good. So I used to hate myself. I didn't love myself, honestly. So that was my case, and I was being so hurt by the school teachers. Some of the teacher in those things, start making me. I was very stubborn, and anger or the rage was building up inside me. So I was very angry. There was so much anger in my heart, bitterness, resentment, and the lies that I was carrying, and I started believing that I'm not good enough, and I've been misunderstood by different people in my lives, and which was not true. In a spiritual way, and and I was like very disappointed. I was hurt by so many people, and it's always me. I used to think like, why it's always me? Why I can't have the freedom like everyone else has? Why I cannot live a life like everyone else? Why I'm not beautiful like everyone else? So I used to complain a lot. I used to, you know, I had this question in my life: why always me? Why I have to go through this? Why they are treating me like this? Why they always, they make it so difficult for me? So I was basically having all these questions in my life that I find it very difficult to love myself, and I was also very rebellious, and I was very, very hurt from people. I couldn't able to speak, so there was so much anger was inside of me. So what I said in my mind, like as soon as I finished my grade 10, I said to myself, I'm never gonna come back in the school. I'm never gonna come back. I'm never gonna call. This was my nightmare. This place was my nightmare. I'm never gonna come this place. I had lots of resentment towards people around here, and I was furious. I was very angry and hurt. And after I finished my 10th grade, I was very happy to live with my parents. All of us, all of my parents, all our families, we started living together. We were in capital city. We're in Kathmandu, so we came in Kathmandu and we started living as family together. So I was studying high school. So I was very happy to be free from my school level and finally be happy to live with my parents. But as I started growing, I found very difficult to adjust with my parents. Because so many years you didn't stay with your parents. You used to go like once in a while in holidays. So when you're finally staying with your parents, I found it very, very difficult. I was very rebellious. I was so angry all the time. My parents were pretty shocked, like why she's always angry. I myself didn't even know where this anger coming from. I just thought it's just normal. So, I was doing great. I was like having a very good time, and suddenly one day I was sitting in church and I felt this uncomfortable touch from one of the person that I used to respect a lot. And the moment I felt that uncomfortable touch from that person, I didn't expect that at all. I was so hurt. I was so angry. Everything flashed back. Everything came back. I thought church is a good place. Everyone is like good. It's a place of healing. It's a place of love. And here I feel the same uncomfortable touch from this person. Honestly, I was shocked. Every place that I run, I experienced similar thing, and I was so tired of. I was so tired in my hometown, in my hostel, and now here in church and family. So I was like, where am I safe? The only questions was on my mind. Where am I safe? Why I have to go through this? I thought it's over. As a kid, I thought that's it. That I was young. I didn't know. Now it's gonna be fine. But they were just starting. Every single place that I go, every person that I've never imagined, used to do this things that I never expected, which was so difficult for me. And I was like, why every single time it's me? Why it's always me? And I was very deeply hurt from several people from church. I said on my head that now I'll be walking in this church as a dead person. And finally, in 2017, I told my parents I wanted to go for DTS in YWAM. YWAM is it's an organization. It's basically youth with a mission. It's for youth. It's for Christians, believers to know God. So It's an international organization, and they provide several trainings for youths. And one of them is DTS. It's the first training that they provide. It's DTS is basically referred to discipleship training school. So I decided to do DTS, and I told my parents I wanted to go for DTS, and I wanted to go India. I don't want it to do here. I wanted to go away from this surrounding. And I went to Dehradun, which lies in North India, northern side of India. And I've been there before because my father, he was born and grown up in Dehradun. He was in Indian Army, by the way, so yeah, I've been there before. So I came to Dehradun in 2017 for DTS. I was very young. I was just 18 years old, and I was very excited, honestly. Coming in different nations, among different peoples who don't know me, who don't know anything about me, and I was really looking forward. I was so excited what God wanted to speak, what God wanted to do in my life. I was amazed by those leaders and stuff. They were very humble. They were down to earth. I've never seen leaders and stuff like YWAMers in my whole life. They were reflecting Jesus through their behavior. It's not just word. We said love your enemies, but it was not just word. It was through their action. They love us so much. They respect us. They honor us. And the main part is, they serve us. As Bible says, Jesus, and as a teacher, you need to serve. If you wanted to be a leader, you have to serve. And they were serving us. They were like serving us. They were like, taking care of us. They were honoring us, respecting us. They were not judging us, what we have done in our past, what we've been through. They loved us, how can they love like this? How can they live a life like this? I was pretty amazed by them. And I'm really, really thankful to all of my leaders and DT staff. I want to thank my leaders, Auntie Loon and Uncle Lala. Unfortunately, Uncle Lala is no more. We lost him during COVID, but I'm honestly really, really thankful to my leaders. So as DT start, as the teaching start begin, every week we have different teachers. I never heard about those teaching, about hearing God's voice, the nature and character of God. The Father loves for us His character, sin and repentance. There's so many different amazing teachers and amazing topics were there. And I remember in that place, as I already mentioned, I had this very low self-esteem. I never thought I was beautiful. And I don't even remember people calling me beautiful. And one day, one of the staff came towards me and she just told me that, God sees you. And he told me that you are beautiful. I never heard those words from any people in my life. They always they told me that you're beautiful, smile often. You have a good smile. And I was really shocked because in my whole life I've been hearing that, I have a very bad smile. I have a very bad laugh. I don't have good teeth. I'm not beautiful enough. And at first I find it very difficult to accept it. But as they were speaking over and over and over again, I start believing them. I start accepting myself, and I start feeling, for the first time, I start feeling I am beautiful. And I have a very beautiful smile. I saw Jesus through their life, so I'm really, really grateful to them. And there was one teaching, especially one teaching. It was the speaker was from Netherlands. His name was Ansel Pronk. He was talking about plumb line. And I never heard about that study ever before. And at the end of his session, he was praying for every individual student. And God was showing him something, and he used to speak over them. So it was my turn, and he called me. And as he was laying his hand over me, God started showing him certain things. And I was very excited to hear what God wanted to speak to me. He looked very intense while he was speaking, and as he was speaking, he said, "You have been so deeply hurt. I saw that you are so hurt in your life, and you are carrying this hurt, and you need to forgive them." And the moment that I heard that, I knew exactly what he was talking about. I thought it was over. At that night, I went to my dorm. Nobody was there. I took a piece of paper and I started writing the individual name, every person name that have hurt me. I would say it was a long list. Honestly, it wasn't easy for me. I was like, God, I can do anything but not this. I thought it's over. Why you are doing this? I don't want you to remember that at all. And God is like, you were just hiding your wounds under the rug. You're just covering them up. And every single time when some people touches that, you are like, you got triggered, you got fired back, you get hurt because it's not healed. You become defensive every single time when some people touches that area. You need to be healed. And I knew he was right. He said, "Can you trust me?" And I said, "Yes, I can trust you." After I'm done writing, I said, "God, it's so hard for me to forgive these people. I cannot forgive these people. But because you told me to forgive them, I will forgive these people." And I was renouncing one by one individual person, and I was releasing forgiveness. While doing this, I remember every single thing, and I don't even remember at what time I slept because I cried before me. It was very painful. After a very long time, I cried like that. And my friend, forgiving is not about forgetting what happened and pretending that it did not hurt. It's about giving my pain. It's about allowing him to set me free from the anger and bitterness. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it changes your heart, releasing us from the prison of resentment. It's about saying, "God, I trust you." Now, it's not one-time thing, okay? So it's a process. I was carrying all these hurts and pain for many, many years, and this burden was so heavy on me. And finally, I was like releasing it to God, and I feel so light. I start seeing changes in my life. The Bible says, "Obedience is better than sacrifice," and forgiving is commandment. And when you do that, when you obey it, I know it's not that easy, but when you do it, it sets you free, my friend. As I start spending time with God, the Holy Spirit is so gentle that He starts convicting me the pain and hurt that I have caused to other people. All those years, I was so focused what people have done into my life, and I forgot that I also hurt other people in the midst of my misery. I didn't thought about that. I decided the next time when I'll go back home, I will ask forgiveness to every individual person and that I've hurt. As a family, we sat together and I started asking forgiveness. My tears were rolling down from my cheek because I knew that I have hurt them so much. And I was so blind that I didn't saw that. I was a victim, but I became a victimizer. I started doing the same thing what people have done to me. And that night, our family, all of us, were in tears, and we were hugging one another, and we were saying sorry to one another. We were saying sorry to one another. I felt so bad for my sister that I've hurt so much. I've said things that I shouldn't say, and I said sorry to her. And it was a beautiful moment. It was like family reunion, and I need to do that even with my pastor and the people around there. And I did that.
Now it becomes much more easier for me, to ask forgiveness to people. And that was my turning point where I encountered Jesus. I knew that God is real and God loves me. And all the things that I faced in my life as a kid, as a child, that was not meant from God. That was meant from enemy. Because enemy came to steal, kill, and destroy. As Bible saying, John 10:10, the thief came to steal, kill, and destroy. But I came to give you a life. Now the enemy is not the people, okay? Ephesians 6 says, our struggle is not against flesh and blood. It's against principalities. It's against demonic spirit that is working behind these people. Those are our enemies, and we cannot fight with these demonic spirit without God. Now, in my second episode, I'll be talking what happened after this encounter, how I still made mistakes and wrong choices even after coming to know Christ. I fell into unhealthy relationships. I hope you are blessed and encouraged. And my dear friends, today, if we have been through, I don't know, you might have been through a similar situation or maybe different situation, but I know that you have been hurt from several people. And let me tell you, while you're in that misery, you have also hurt other people. And today, God is calling you to forgive. And forgiving is setting yourself free. I know it's not easy, but trust me, it's worth it. It will transform your life forever. Thank you so much for tuning in till here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love you to subscribe this channel and that you may not miss any of our videos. If you wanted to share your story, I want you to comment down below. I would love to read and pray for you. I just wanted to tell you, no matter who you are beautifully and wonderfully made. God has a plan for your life, not to harm you, but to give you hope and future, to prosper you. Now receive that word and believe it. He's going to do greater things in your life. Take care and love you all. See you soon.